A woman with a disturbing behavior
I can't tell you.
and no respect for life.
I don't really need a D, I need the.
This is Dana Hare, who's about to lose her 96,000 TikTok followers, better known online as ItsSinnaBunny. Dana is responsible for forcefully bringing her 7-year-old daughter in front of dozens of men, and this happened when they were partying in the basement of her house. There were activities, pole dance, and everything that a little child should not see. But Dana forced her daughter to become uncomfortable in a place where she was never supposed to be. Now we're gonna go deeper, like much deeper, because there are some things that weren't covered in those contents, especially from Repzilla's video, and honestly they deserve to be talked about. And for the fact that her husband Matthew Hare has been accused by not one but 7 women for assault, abuse, manipulation, and in some cases involving minors. Finally, trigger warning. This video covers some dark stuff. So Dana Hare, better known online as ItsSinnaBunny, has built a pretty surprising following, over 96,000 on TikTok. Their brand? A mix of adult content, edgy subcultures, ed tips, poly relationships, and that cool alt girl who knows everything about BDSM energy. But here's what most people don't know. Dana didn't go viral for being a sex-positive content creator. Their name first popped up online nearly a decade ago, tied to something way darker than raves and OnlyFans. Her first real appearance in the public eye? A 2016 article in Folio Weekly, a piece that exposed a string of disturbing accusations aimed at their husband, Matthew Hare. And no, this wasn't about some petty online drama or a messy breakup. We're talking about serious allegations. Women came forward accusing Matthew of sexual assault, abuse, manipulation, and in some cases involving minors. The article painted a horrifying portrait of her husband. It's talked about. Melissa Brown, 25, recalled attending a party with Hare, her then boyfriend, in July 2011. He wanted to hook up and I told him not unless he had a him, and he got angry and started yelling and screaming and pulling on me. I told him, no, get out, she says. Brown says she fought him off and ran. She did not report the incident to police. Even now, Dana is still technically married to Matthew, though she claims the divorce has been in progress for years. She's with a new partner now, a guy named Eli, but Matthew is still very much part of this story, especially because they have a child together, often referred to by Dana as Tiny Human. Now, Matthew isn't just the subject of a few internet rumors. He's racked up multiple mugshots, 5 to be exact, for charges like assault, possession. There was even an accusation that he harmed his own infant daughter. So yeah, this guy's rap sheet reads like a walking red flag. But everything really came to a head back in 2012, when a woman came forward with a shocking claim. According to her, Matthew had sexually assaulted her after she had a little too much to drink that night. Now at this point you're probably wondering why she didn't go to the police. But the shocking fact was that she did, but the police were not buying her story. Meanwhile, Matthew's girlfriend later confirmed the victim's story in an interview. She described Matthew as someone who couldn't take no for an answer. Another ex, anonymous because she was underage at the time, said she used to wake up with Matthew doing things to her. Back then, she didn't fully grasp how wrong it was, but now she's horrified by it. She said he would come at me when I was sleeping, often. And it gets even worse when another underage girl says that last year, Hare got her and her underage sister passed out drunk on whiskey. She'd never been drunk before. I don't remember anything that happened really. I just remember waking up and he was in my room, she says, adding that Hare was dating one of her friends, who also claims he separately and repeatedly assaulted her, and that she reacted accordingly. He was like, you weren't freaking out before, why are you freaking out now? He was trying to make it seem like it was my fault, she says. She was 15. He would have been 22. She has not reported the incident to police. Now let that age gap sink in for a minute. 7 women in total shared their stories with Folio Weekly. 7! And as word of the article spread, the publication started getting more and more messages, calls, tips, but things took a shocking turn when they got one voicemail. And that right there, that's when Dana Hare's, aka SinnaBunny's name, really entered the picture. Because that's when they decided to send a voicemail to Folio Weekly. And from there, it spirals. The woman on the line, Dana, introduces herself, without saying her name, classic, and proceeds to tell the journalist that they're Matthew Hare's wife. And no, they're not calling to offer any remorse or clarity. They're calling to try to shut the whole thing down. They say the article is slander. that the police already looked into everything, that Matthew was cleared, and basically they demand the outlet not publish anything or face legal consequences. Oh, and if they had any more questions, they should contact their lawyer. From here, things actually start building up quickly. Folio Weekly actually did reach out to the law firm they mentioned. And guess what? Another attorney at that same very firm had been representing Matthew Hare in criminal charges. You genuinely can't make this stuff up. So right from the jump, Dana's first real act in the public eye, not speaking up for victims, not asking for the truth. Nope, she tried to legally scare a journalist out of telling assaulted women's stories. A classic silencing technique. And here's the thing about defamation lawsuits. They're incredibly hard to win. Like 99% of the time, people threaten them just to scare folks into shutting up. So let's be honest, if Dana really had a strong case, she wouldn't be leaving sketchy voicemails. Her lawyers would have just handled it all in court. But instead we get threats and smoke screens. Why? Because the truth was already leaking, and it was ugly.
He believed what I was hearing and did the right thing, but I didn't. Instead, I doubled down and defended him because I was scared. I didn't know what else to do, and because as someone with BPD, admitting I was wrong felt impossible. But I was wrong.
And it gets worse, because not long after that, Dana herself ends up involved in a disturbing incident, one that hits painfully close to home. Her own baby daughter develops a strange rash. She takes her to the hospital, thinking it's something mild. Doctors take one look and immediately call the police. Why? Because the rash wasn't harmless. It was petechiae, small red or purple dots under the skin that are very often caused by trauma, things like strangulation or suffocation. Let that sink in. Police questioned Dana on the spot. When asked if she thought Matthew was capable of their child, she doesn't say yes, but later, she changes her story. She later admits that yes, she did believe Matthew was capable of something like that. But why did she lie?
Ever done, and I did it for my daughter. There was also a lot of confusion about what happened when he harmed the child. People bring up how I told the police I didn't believe he was capable of something like that. And what I need people to understand is that when the police questioned me, they did not follow correct legal protocol. They were supposed to interview me separately, but they did not. They interviewed me in front of him while he was actively abusing me. I answered that question completely out of fear and said that I didn't think he was capable of doing such a thing.
She also published a status admitting that Matthew was her child. Now, in domestic cases, it's standard to question each partner separately, so the victim can speak freely. But that didn't happen here. And the result? The next day, DCFS, aka CPS, showed up at their home. Matthew was immediately ordered to move out. No unsupervised contact with their daughter, period. So just to recap, Dana knows Matthew has people. She's seen it, she's lived it. Yet she still didn't believe the other women who spoke out. In fact, she publicly mocked them, called them the Matthew Hare Hate Club. And even to this day, she keeps trying to downplay what he's done. There's this one TikTok where she finally addresses the allegations, and it's painful to watch. She's yawning, eye-rolling, mumbling through it like she's being forced to sit through a dentist appointment, not address multiple assault and allegations against her ex-husband. And then she says this.
My ex, Matt, has not like little girls. People are like, I heard he a 4-year-old. And I'm like, no, that's not what happened. She was like 16 or 17 and he was like 19 or 20. Do with that information as you will.
Sorry, what? First of all, 16 or 17 is still underage no matter how you want to twist it to make sense. And second of all, no, that's not what happened. The victim in question was 15 years old. Matthew was 22. That's not a small gap. That's illegal. But Dana just keeps brushing it off like she's talking about high school gossip. She goes on.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, as far as my knowledge goes, my ex, Matt, has not been with anyone under the age of 16 or 17. Okay? Okay? It's still not great. But if we could, like, stop the narrative of, like, diddling, like, elementary school kids, that would be phenomenal. And if we could stop confusing him with Eli, that would be phenomenal, okay? If y'all could take this to your little, like, hate groups and, like, I don't know, tell people that would be phenomenal. Super, thank you.
Yeah, she really said that on camera, like she was reading Yelp reviews. It's this weird mix of defensiveness and indifference, like she's too tired to care, but still somehow doubling down. And all while still defending Matthew even after DCFS ordered him out of the house for allegedly harming their baby. And the shocking part of this whole situation is that she acts like she hasn't even read the original article that blew this whole story open, like she's just going off vibes. And it leads us right into the next phase of this twisted saga, where Dana decides to take the absolute worst stand you'll ever expect from a mother. A minor isn't a kid, and somehow this makes everything 10 times worse. All right, let's actually take a minute to talk about Dana's wild take on minors, because this part right here, this was the moment people collectively lost their patience. So people started calling her out for making this weird distinction between little kids and teenagers. Like, what are you doing? And instead of taking a step back and realizing how unhinged that sounds, Dana doubled down. She goes, "Yes, I do think it's important to distinguish age in the context of CSA. Use of a toddler looks very different than the use of a teenager." You can also understand her mindset through this chat.
I see kids' children as like little kids. I see a 16-year-old as a teen. All minors, but it feels weird to call a 16-year-old a child. That's the language I use. A teenage is a minor. You might call them a child, but I call them minors or teen.
I'm sorry, what? Let's be super clear. Both are children. Neither can give consent. It's not up for debate. Just because a teenager has hit puberty or looks more grown does not make the any less horrific. That's like saying, well, they weren't a baby, so it's not that bad. No, that's not how this works. And her whole take on this is so shocking to me because Dana has a child, a daughter. She's around 7 now. So let's just do a quick thought experiment here. If your daughter came to you at 13 and said she was being, would you be like, well, she's a teen now, so it's not as bad? No. Then why are you even trying to make this kind of distinction? Then is proof that she still haven't let go of this weird thinking path. She went even further, because apparently we weren't done yet, and said,
Well, he did a minor. It was not my child, nor was it someone under the age of 5. It was a 15-year-old.
Dana, with all due respect, a 15-year-old is a child. You don't get to rewrite the dictionary because it feels weird to you. That's how predators talk. I mean, seriously, did she just have a Brandon brutal moment live on camera? Girl, what? Why are you fighting so hard to defend this? You keep screaming about wanting to distance yourself from your husband, but then turn around and say stuff like this, like you're trying to minimize what he did. Why? And as if that wasn't disturbing enough, this same mindset shows up again when we talk about her daughter, aka Tiny Human, and how she's been at the center of so many controversies. We already covered the incident with Dana's husband, but there's a lot more. Dana openly admits she lives in a split-level house in Tennessee, and she uses the downstairs as her adult content zone. That includes a red room, which she designed specifically for activities. She posted a whole TikTok bragging about how soundproof it is, how it's got 2 locked doors, how there's no way her kid could access it.
When we engage in these activities, we go downstairs into our red room, which was intentionally designed for this purpose. Let me make this crystal clear. The red room is not just a spare corner of our home. It is a space built with privacy and soundproofing in mind. It's not just behind one door between the room and the rest of the house. It's behind 2 doors.
So far, it sounds like precautions were taken, right? But here's where it all crumbles, because photos leaked from Dana's own Facebook show her daughter in that exact downstairs area. Yup, in this same living room where there's lewd artwork plastered on the walls, in front of an actual pole used for content. Remember when Dana said her kid had no access to the downstairs? Yeah, she lied.
Both of those doors are lockable. So the idea that my child could accidentally stumble in or hear anything is pure fiction.
But wait, it gets worse, because apparently Dana wasn't just filming down there. She was throwing full-on adult content parties in that space. as in 10 to 20 adults gathering for days at a time to create NSFW material while her daughter was still in the house. She claims there were house rules like no filming upstairs, and if the kid's awake, you must use the red room only. But here's the thing, why were these people even allowed upstairs at all? Dana said it was okay as long as they were clothed. Seriously? Do you think it's safe for strangers to wander around in the same house with your 7-year-old? Who cares whether they're clothed or not? Strangers should not be parading in your house, period. And then she says they weren't strangers. They were friends or friends of friends or friends of her partners. Girl, your daughter doesn't know them. To her, they are strangers. Oh, and another rule she allowed, alcohol use. And again, I'm not here to shame adult behavior, but when you're throwing parties with substances involved while your kid is home, that's a major problem. People don't act the same when they're drunk or high. Some get loud, some get angry, some get creepy. What if someone gets blackout drunk and wanders upstairs? What if there's a fight? What if your daughter walks into something she never should have seen? You're not running a studio with security. You're running a party in your house, and your child is there. It honestly blows my mind that someone who claims to love and protect their child so fiercely wouldn't prioritize getting her out of the house entirely when hosting these events. Bring her to a family member, a friend, literally anywhere else but that house. And for anyone still doubting how bad this really is, people who allegedly attended these parties have publicly contradicted Dana's story. They've said her daughter was around during the parties. So yeah, Dana's whole everything is fine and under control act, it's not convincing anyone anymore. So allegedly, Dana once let her daughter, aka Tiny Human, hang out downstairs during one of these festivities to read her a story. According to this source, everyone was fully clothed, no one was mid-orgy, and it was just a normal, wholesome bedtime moment. But Dana, why are you letting your kid hang out with strangers at your adult parties? Now, after this all came to light, CPS apparently paid Dana a little visit. They decided that the child was not allowed in the red room under any circumstance. Dana says that was already the rule, and the kid was only allowed in the living room. But even that came with conditions. Certain pieces of art and imagery had to be removed. Dana says, cool, done, and that was that.
Yes, CSA did visit my house, and they informed me that some of the artwork in my secondary living room was inappropriate for a child under the age of 13 to view. Since then, I have removed that artwork. Additionally, while I do still have the red room, it hasn't actually been used as a red room in months because, as I stated, my partner Tone has been temporarily living there.
But seriously, how many red flags do we need before we start caring? There are so many layers of what the actual hell here that it feels like the laws need to evolve just to keep up. Because this isn't your average case of questionable parenting. This is a genre of its own. And I really think there should be legal guidelines ensuring children are nowhere near these events, period. But oh, it gets worse. Dana didn't just let her daughter near questionable environments, she basically doxed her own child. I know, that sounds extreme, but hear me out. So Dana made this TikTok, and to be fair, it actually had a solid point. She criticized adult content creators who get their full kid's name and birthday tattooed visibly on their body. She compared it to posting your child's face online and warned that it could compromise the kid's safety. Totally fair, honestly.
Okay, maybe this is a really hot take, but I work in the adult farming industry, and because of that, I don't show my child on social media. I always refer to her as Tiny Human.
After watching this video, I was like, whoa, okay, Dana, this is actually a really reasonable take. Didn't expect that. But then, plot twist, Dana herself got her daughter's full first name tattooed on her upper chest. Not like hidden under a shirt chest. No, collarbone level real estate. The kind of spot that shows up in almost every video unless you're wearing a turtleneck or armor. Now, is that technically doxing? Maybe not. But then Dana goes and says on TikTok that her daughter still has the same last name as her estranged husband, Matthew Hare, and she herself still goes by that last name too, because she can't afford the legal name change. Cool.
It would cost thousands of dollars for me to change my daughter's last name because he is still her biological dad. We're still legally married, so I can't change my daughter's last name without his legal permission, or until the divorce is finalized.
So now people know 1. The kid's first full name, thanks to the tattoo. 2. The last name, thanks to Dana's own videos. And 3. They've seen her face, because yes, Dana has posted her face online. And oh, wait for it, Dana also posted a screenshot of a text convo that had a screenshot inside it, where you could clearly see her full home address. Yeah, all 140,000 of her followers now had her home address, her kid's name, and her kid's face. Again, explain to me how this isn't during a child. And if you caught it, she mentioned in that TikTok something about a book. Yup, Dana wrote a book. It's called Red Flags and Roses. When I heard that, I knew I just had to read it. After all my frantic search, I finally succeeded on finding a digital copy on Goodreads. At first, I thought I'd include a review in this video as a bit of comic relief, break up the tension from all the possibly exposing a minor to sex party stuff. But once I realized how unhinged this book is, I knew I had to dedicate a separate time just for that. And yes, it's exactly as chaotic as you think. This book is 154 pages of red flags, bad decisions, emotional damage, and smut. Like, a lot of smut. I'm talking more scenes than actual plot. And the plot that does exist, basically just a Talkling Tumblr post from 2013. So the main character, Callie, is in this non-monogamous setup with multiple partners, which, okay, polyrep, but then she meets Benji, a guy who is clearly Satan in a cloud. He's toxic, possessive, manipulative, and the human embodiment of a Snapchat streak. Now, to be clear, Dana does warn readers that this is not a healthy romance. It's not a how-to guide and definitely isn't relationship goals. But let's not pretend that framing this mess as entertainment doesn't come with issues. Like, are we glorifying toxic dudes now, or just cosplaying as emotionally damaged Disney villains? One reviewer even claimed the author's real-life behavior was worse than the book, which is saying a lot. Trust me, you're not ready. But a full review will be for another day. Meanwhile, let's actually talk about Gabby, Dana's ex-partner, and yes, former buddy with Dana and Eli. Anyway, Dana claimed they had all lived together for about a year and a half. Sounds like a sitcom setup, but spoiler alert, this one does not have a laugh track.
Gabby kind of has been living with us since July, but still had an apartment that she would go back to casually and was kind of just a storage unit for all of her things. But it's time. The lease was up, so we needed to go get the last of her things. We started by having a big breakfast as a quad. Very thankful to have Dylan help us, especially with the big pieces of furniture.
Allegedly, Gabby dipped from the life after an incident involving Dana pressuring a sober friend to do coke at their birthday party. I know, that's one way to kill the vibe in a sobriety streak in one go. The friend had reportedly been clean from coke, and Dana allegedly was like, "But it's your birthday. Celebrate relapse style." At this point, Gabby went, no thanks, and decided that maybe this was not the party crew they wanted to be tethered to anymore. Now, this claim is alleged, and to be fair, the friend in question hasn't publicly confirmed anything. But this story floats around the internet like a rogue glitter bomb of chaos, popping up repeatedly. So it's kind of that one piece of gossip that everyone's whispering about, but no one wants to stamp their name on. After the split, Gabby pieced out from not just the relationship, but the entire adult content industry, and requested Dana to delete the videos they'd appeared in. Dana agreed, sort of, because right before doing the respectful thing, she apparently tried to sell the content to another site. Classy. And we're not talking rumors, there are receipts, like literal text message receipts. Gabby naturally was shocked and put Dana on blast via Instagram story. Dana then spun a tale saying she thought when Gabby asked for the content to be taken down, it meant from that one website only, but that it was fine to just re-upload it somewhere else? Come on, Dana. You knew what Gabby meant. Don't play the semantic game like this is a contract negotiation. Don't put my content online doesn't mean just not on this website. That's like telling your ex, don't post our pics, and they're like, cool, I'll just turn them into NFTs. Girl. Okay, let's take a minute and go back to the substance use allegations, which are a mix of speculation, some solid internet sleuthing, and Dana's own tendency to post through it. At one point, Dana allegedly leaked a text message herself admitting to using coke, but that Reddit post has since been deleted into the abyss. No archive, no screenshots, just whispers of the dirty delete echoing through Reddit and Lolcow like a haunted urban legend. But what isn't speculation is the content Dana does post, like her Instagram pic of bracelets she said her daughter helped make for festivals. Cute, right? Except one bracelet said baby and had a tiny spoon charm. Now for the uninitiated, pumps is cook slang, and for those mini spoons, yeah, they're not for soup. So people are understandably like, why is your kid making festival merch? And then Dana casually mentions that she's taking her young daughter to Bonnaroo in a year or two. Because nothing says great parenting like dragging your grade schooler to a field full of mushrooms and neon body paint. Even if this is rage bait, it's an incredibly stupid risk, considering CPS has already knocked on your door before. Like Dana, if you're gonna dance with controversy, maybe don't do it in front of child services. And now we roll into Dana's 24-minute response video to Repzilla. She starts off saying she wrote the script over a few days to make sure it reflected how she really felt. Which, okay, fair. A lot of people ruin their lives by rage responding in real time, so credit for waiting. She says the video had misunderstandings and misrepresentations. But here's the thing, most of the claims Repzilla made were backed by Dana's own words. Like, no one deep-faked your texts, girl.
There are some serious misrepresentations and misunderstandings that I feel the need to personally clarify.
She tries to give context, saying she married Matt Hare during a low point and didn't believe the allegations right away because of her BPD. Honestly, that's a valid insight, but it's not an excuse for the way she's repeatedly tried to minimize what Matt did.
I married Matt Hare at the lowest point in my personal life. At the time, I wasn't close with my family. I was struggling with substance. I made a lot of bad choices, and one of those bad choices was just getting involved with him in the first place.
Dana's like, stop lumping me in with Matt. I've removed him from my life. But every time his name comes up, she's out here going, well, it wasn't that bad. Girl, you literally corrected someone to clarify he didn't assault a 5-year-old. It was a 15-year-old. Like that somehow makes it okay?
But I do feel deeply sorry for the ways that I contributed to their pain, both at the time and potentially continuously. I am exhausted by being lumped in with Matt Hare, as if I am still on his side, as if I haven't done everything in my power to remove him from my life. Surviving him was one of the hardest things I have ever done, and I did it for my daughter. And while he did a minor, it was not my child, nor was it someone under the age of 5. It was a 15-year-old.
This isn't a PR move. This is emotional self-sabotage with a side of read the room. And then, cherry on top, Dana says she hasn't changed her last name because it's her daughter's last name. And changing hers would be cheap, but changing her daughter's would be expensive. Okay, fine. But then she's on TikTok blasting her daughter's name to her 96,000 followers while saying it out loud on video. Which, I'm sorry, why? If you're trying to protect your kid, maybe step 1 isn't don't broadcast her name to the internet in the middle of a scandal involving CPS and your ex-husband's crimes. Dana says she's tired of being lumped in with Matt, but girl, you keep dragging yourself into the same hole with him. Stop defending him. Stop minimizing it. Just say it was horrific, I made a mistake, I'm done with him, and move on. Instead, we get legal hair splitting about what counts as underage and what type of assault happened.
I fully acknowledge that I have been a horrible person in the past. I've hurt people, I've made mistakes, and I've done things that I am absolutely not proud of. I think most people have done things they're not proud of.
It's not giving growth, it's giving self-inflicted PR nightmare. Alright, now Dana brings up her ex, Gabby. According to her, months after their breakup, Gabby suddenly decided to accuse her of the things like leaving her daughter home alone, only bathing her once a week. That's a lot. But Dana's point is this, if any of that actually happened, Gabby lived with her for a year and a half and said nothing at the time. Then waited, half a year after leaving to finally speak up? Yeah, timing like that does make you wonder.
It is very strange that several months after our breakup, she is suddenly coming forward with claims that I left my child home alone, only bathed her once a week. If these things were actually true, That means that Gabby was okay with them happening while she lived with me for a year and a half, and then had absolutely nothing to say about it for 6 or 7 months until now. That alone should make people question her credibility. Some people are also weirded out by the fact that Eli bathed my daughter in the past because he's not her biological father.
And honestly, I get where Dana's coming from on that one. If those things were really happening, then Gabby wasn't just a witness, she was complicit. Silence doesn't exactly scream concerned guardian. That said, just because Gabby might be questionable doesn't magically clear Dana of everything. All it really tells me that birds of a feather might have been nesting in a very chaotic house. But here's the thing Dana doesn't address: the allegation that she's selling content featuring Gabby. That's a pretty big one to just sidestep when you're literally dedicating a segment to her. Then Dana talks about her daughter playing on a dance pole and tries to compare it to monkey bars. Yeah, no. Let's not pretend that a pole in that context is just playground equipment. Come on, you know what it's for. And not only that, you posted pictures of your daughter on it, online, in a room covered in suggestive decor. You can say it's innocent play to you, but you know the internet isn't full of innocent people. That kind of content attracts creeps, period. That's not just being naive, that's being reckless.
I don't see any issue with my daughter playing on a dance pole. To her, it's just another piece of playground equipment, no different from monkey bars or a fireman's pole at the park. She has never played on it during an adult activity or party, only in the privacy of her own home with the people who live here. Yes, I once posted a picture of her on the pole on my personal Facebook, and someone leaked that content, twisting it into something it's not. Okay. That was obviously a mistake.
Dana also tries to pivot into saying they haven't thrown any adult-themed parties in over a year and don't plan to anymore. Good, honestly. But let's be real. The concern wasn't just the parties, it was how they were happening in the same place where a child lives. That's not a good look, no matter how you slice it.
We don't host parties, we don't host intimate gatherings, and we don't invite people over unless they are an established partner or friend.
Now, Dana does own up to being, in her words, a horrible person in the past, says she's made mistakes, hurt people, and isn't proud of who she was. Fair. A little self-awareness goes a long way. And she claims she's not here to beg for forgiveness, just to grow and do better. She also says she's in therapy now, which, honestly, that's a good step. Credit where it's due. But then she asks people to stop dragging her daughter into everything. She says her kid is being tracked in real time and discussed online. And yeah, that is disgusting, no argument there. But here's the catch: you can't yell at the internet for publicizing your child when you're the one who posted her full name, face, and address. That's not exposure, that's you hitting upload.
But I am asking, begging actually, that you leave the publicity of my child out of it. She is 7 years old. The fact that people are tracking her in real time, discussing her whereabouts, and speculating about her life is insanely disgusting. She is an innocent child who has nothing to do with any of this. Please also leave my partners and friends and past partners out of it. If you have issues with me, then focus your attention on me. My partners, my friends, and the people in my life are just that. People in my life. They are not responsible for my past. They are not responsible for my choices, and they are not responsible for the narratives that people have built around me.
And that's basically where Dana's response wraps up. After that, it's mostly repetition, no new ground being covered. So that's where things stand in the absolute bonkers, chaotic saga of ItsSinnaBunny. This was one crazy ride. I don't think I'll be able to find something else that'd top this situation in terms of sheer madness, but Dana definitely gave it her best shot. As always, drop your thoughts in the comments. I love hearing what you all think, and thank you so much for subscribing. You guys are the best. Stay safe, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one. And if you have any topic you want me to cover, please don't forget to drop a comment below.